A bitter wind cut across the sidewalk that evening, the kind that makes your eyes water and your bones tighten. People hurried past each other, heads down, collars pulled high, trying to escape the cold. But in the middle of that rush, a young mother stood frozen beside a bus stop bench, her little boy tucked against her chest. His tiny shoulders trembled beneath a thin sweatshirt, and she whispered apologies into his hair, her own lips trembling from the cold. She looked around helplessly, as if hoping the winter air would suddenly show mercy. It didn't. A few steps away, a man in a worn-out work jacket noticed them. He slowed, watching the child's shivering grow worse. Something hit him hard in the chest, something that said, "Don't walk away." As he stood there, snow beginning to crust his boots, he realized this moment wasn't going to let him pass. Before the story begins, make sure to tap the subscribe button, like the video, and leave a comment. Your support helps us grow the Kindness World community and share more heartfelt stories like this one. The man's name was Daniel, a single dad in his mid-30s who had just finished a grueling shift at a warehouse across town. He was exhausted, hungry, and eager to get home to his own son. But exhaustion couldn't stop his heart from paying attention. He stepped closer to the mother and child, his breath puffing into the frozen air. "You two okay?" he asked gently. The mother forced a small smile, but her eyes told the truth. "We're fine," she said, though her voice cracked. "We just missed our bus. The next one isn't for 40 minutes. Daniel looked down at the little boy, maybe 5 years old, cheeks red from the cold, hands tucked into his mother's sleeves. The sight made Daniel think of his own son, Ethan, who was probably at home drawing pictures on the living room floor, waiting for dinner. Daniel hesitated for only a second before shrugging off his jacket. It was thick, his only winter jacket, and still warm from his body. "You need this more than I do," he said, draping it around both the mother and her son. Her eyes widened. "Oh, no, you don't have to." "I know," he said softly. "But I want to." The mother's lip trembled. She pulled the jacket around her boy, and Daniel gently helped wrap it tighter so it covered them both. The little boy peeked up at him, eyes bright but tired. "Thank you," the child whispered. Daniel felt something sting his throat. "You're welcome, buddy." The mother blinked rapidly, trying not to cry. "I don't know how to repay you." "You don't have to." Daniel stuffed his cold hands into the pockets of his hoodie. "Just keep him warm." The wind slapped him as soon as he turned away, biting straight through the thin fabric of his hoodie. His fingers quickly numbed, and he felt the cold crawling up his arms. Still, he kept walking, telling himself he'd be fine. He just needed to get home. 10 minutes later, as he was crossing a small park shortcut, the cold became almost unbearable. His breath shook, and he had to stop to rub his arms. A man walking his dog paused beside him. "You all right?" the man asked. Daniel nodded, though he didn't look all right. "You sure? It's freezing out here." "Yeah," Daniel said with a faint chuckle. "Gave my jacket to someone who needed it." The dog walker studied him for a moment, then smiled. "That's a good thing you did." He unzipped his own coat, thick, insulated, and clearly expensive, and handed it toward Daniel. "Take this." Daniel's eyes widened. "No, no. I'm okay." "You're shivering," the man said. "I've got another one at home. Besides, kindness shouldn't leave you freezing." Daniel opened his mouth to argue but stopped. The man's face held an expression he recognized, the same stubborn compassion he had felt earlier. Slowly, Daniel accepted the coat. "Thank you," he said, almost whispering. "Pass it forward," the man replied. Daniel continued home, warmer now, amazed at how kindness seemed to circle back when least expected. When he reached his small apartment, Ethan ran to him immediately, wrapping his arms around his waist. "Daddy!" Ethan grinned up at him. "You're home." Daniel hugged him back, feeling warmth return not just to his body but to something deeper. That night, while making simple spaghetti for dinner, Daniel told his son what had happened. He didn't tell it to brag, he told it because he believed kindness was something you teach through example. Ethan listened wide-eyed. "Daddy, you gave your jacket away? But you need your jacket." Daniel smiled. "Sometimes," he said, stirring the pot, "someone else needs something more than you do. And if you can help, even a little, you should." Ethan absorbed his father's words with the seriousness only a child could have. Then he hopped off the chair and ran to his room. A minute later he returned holding something small in his hands, a bright blue pair of mittens, the ones he loved. "You can give these to someone too," Ethan said, placing them on the table. "If they're cold." Daniel felt his eyes burn with emotion. "That's very kind of you," he whispered. Later that weekend, as they were walking to the grocery store, they passed a man sitting near the entrance with a sign that said, "Anything helps." The man's hands were bare and red from the cold. Ethan tugged on his father's sleeve. "Daddy," he whispered, "can I?" Daniel nodded. The little boy walked up to the man and held out his blue mittens. "These are for you," he said. "They're warm." The man looked stunned. He took the mittens gently, as if they were made of glass. His voice shook. "Thank you, sweetheart." Ethan beamed and hurried back to his father. Daniel put an arm around him, feeling pride swell in his chest. That evening, while the sun dipped behind the rooftops, Daniel thought back to the mother and her son, to the stranger in the park, to his own little boy's generous heart. All of it reminded him that kindness wasn't something big or complicated. It was simple moments, choices people made even when no one was watching. He realized something profound: kindness doesn't just warm the person who receives it. It warms the person who gives it too, and sometimes it warms people you may never even meet. Because kindness travels. It echoes. It multiplies. The next day, Daniel went to a local thrift store, bought a couple of jackets, and donated them to a shelter nearby. He did it quietly, without telling anyone. And when he left the store, he felt lighter, like he had added something good to the world without asking for anything in return. Maybe that's what kindness really is: small lights passed from one person to another, especially on days that feel cold. And somewhere across town, that mother and her little boy got home safely, warmed by the jacket of a stranger who refused to walk away. This world can seem cold sometimes. But every act of kindness, even one as simple as sharing warmth, creates a ripple that someone else can feel. And before long, those ripples become waves. So if you ever find yourself hesitating, wondering whether to help someone, choose kindness. You never know how far it will travel, or how deeply it will touch someone's heart.